hear voices down the trail ahead of me. Stop, look, and listen. Sills. Gotta take breaks when I need to. Mile 12, just over 3 hours. We've got a huge wide open area. Welcome back to Grunt Proof. I'm Randall. Today we are going over my get home bag. This is my take on it and also my philosophy, and I'm also going to show why it is so tiny and so freaking light. The gnats are absolutely killer. We're going to try to get through this. Instead of me just sitting around pulling stuff out of a bag and showing off toys and talking about some tactics, I'm actually out here training with my get home bag. I've got an 18-mile route. After all the other activity I did today, I'm about halfway there. So I'm going to run you through my training scenario, how all of that goes in conjunction with doing a bag dump. So you may notice how small this thing seems, and it's light, guys. We're talking about 12 pounds with water and food. This is a 20-liter bag, and this is my get home bag. So let's get to the philosophy. So the principles for me building this bag are as follows. Number one is the purpose. We have to design a bag based on the purpose of the bag. So the purpose for me is to get home as quickly as possible. I'll say that again, get home as fast as possible. We're not looking at camping. We're not talking about a leisurely walk. We are talking about covering ground, grunt style, as quickly as humanly possible without dying, of course. For whatever reason, I am on foot if I could not acquire a vehicle, and I am trying to get home to my castle. So either to protect my family or save them, or if I don't have a family, I'm trying to get back to my castle. So because shit has gone down, I don't want my neighbors or people I don't trust taking over my freaking castle. That's what the get home bag is. Get your ass home as quickly as possible to your castle, where all of your extra ammo and everything else is. With that purpose in mind, number two is it has to be as light as possible. The way I do that is I incorporate a sport called fast packing. Fast packing is where super ultralight, very athletic people go on these long through or section hikes, and they pretty much run the entire damn thing. So they're going to be in tennis shoes and everything. I'm in boots and with extra gear on, but I want a pack that I can freaking move with. And if that means running 80 to 90% of the time, that's how the pack has to be. So with those principles in mind, especially being light so we can be fast, what do we have to think about? We've got to think about water. Without water, you die. Some sustenance, bare minimum sustainment. Very light shelter, if a shelter at all. Something to make a fire with if we have to make a fire. A minimalist boo-boo kit, but something that's super light we can use and get our asses moving again. And maybe some kind of survival food gathering or hunting equipment. But the way I see it, I know I can go days with very limited water. I know I can go days with very limited, in some cases, no food. I know what I'm capable of. I also know about my physical fitness. A fit person can survive in adverse conditions for much longer with less food needed, less water needed, and a lower chance of dying. Lastly, the bag also has to be slightly gray man. So it's tactical in its use, but it doesn't look like a giant Rambo bag. Also, chances are I'm going to be on the road for work like I usually am. So I'm not going to be wearing my sport clothes and special hiking pants. I might put that in here to throw it on there. Otherwise, guys, if I got to take off in my work boots and my regular work clothes, that's what we're doing. If I'm in my Converse Chucks and a freaking Metallica t-shirt, that's how we're rolling. So with all those principles in mind, let's get to it. This bag with food and water weighs just over 12 pounds. So I can run with this thing for days. We have the Grail filter. The larger version, it's just under a liter, which is just under a quart. This thing is awesome, guys. It filters pretty much everything. So you can grab water on the go. As soon as you get it up in there, you can already start walking and start pressing this thing, take a couple sips, and you're on the move. I do have purification tablets to throw in there if the water is just horrendous and I want to be extra sure. But guys, this is my go-to filters for now. All right, so camera equipment is extra. That's not coming with me. I've got my super light rain jacket. I call this the Frog Togs of Europe. Comes from Decathlon, Solognac. That's also gonna be a warming layer, you will see. We are in the summertime. Another thing with this bag is you have to do prior planning. I know the routes, I know where I'm going for the job, and I know all the possible routes on foot and in a vehicle that I could take to get home. But knowing your routes and how you're going to get home, what season it is, you see what I'm getting at. Met TC. That's how we know what we actually need to put in there. And in case it drops, even on a summer night, we've got this badass armadillo, super light, wool stretchy fabric. That'll save my ass. All right, gloves, because if you're running around in the woods for real, you gotta have gloves. Whatever clothes I'm in, it doesn't matter. If I get the word I need to get home, I'm grabbing this bag and going. But I do have a super light synthetic sports shirt to throw in here, just in case I happen to be wearing some kind of funky, weird shirt that I don't want to be running through the woods or bugging out in. Got a sports shirt just in case. Fortunately for me, the job I usually do, I'm wearing some pretty rough and tough long sleeve work shirts, and I'm wearing boots, so that's perfect. I can usually just bug out whatever I need to do in my work uniform. Next is the pouch that goes with the Helicontex poncho. Poncho's not in there, and we've just got some random extra stuff. People call this a ditty bag. So I've got some gauze to pack wounds. This would go inside holes. Part of the boo-boo kit. Extra batteries for my headlamp. That's crucial. We'll get to it. And this is my mini ultralight first aid kit and field repair kit. Super light, you barely notice them. I've done special videos on these. They'll be linked in the description. Lastly, we've got some bank line. I don't remember the rating, but it's up on the screen for you. This is pretty much just as useful and tough as 550 cord. You don't get the miniature strands, but at the price, it's a lot better. All right, we'll get that put back in there so I don't lose it. Okay, last thing. Shelter. Shelter is important, but again, we are not 5-star camping. This is the Snug Pack. People call it the Special Forces bivy, but it's the Snug Pack bivy. Now, it's not 100% waterproof. You're not sleeping out in monsoon rains. This will keep you mostly protected from the elements. I also have one of the badass Thermarest winter sleeping mats tucked in there. So all I got to do is roll this up, and there we go. I want to get under some logs to lay under. That will be my main overhead shelter. But guys, if I bring an overhead shelter, it's going to be an ultralight poncho that fits up into here. But as I said, in the grunt world, sleeping in just a bivy, you're going to have to make do. So what if the temperatures drop and this is all not enough? Well, look at the ground behind me, guys. Any good grunt should be able to gather up some shrubs, leaves, whatever, pack it in your bivy, which is big enough. Now you've got pretty much a winter system. So if you want to create your own bed with stuff on the ground, you can actually drop this sleeping mat and you could just put everything inside your bivy. Now you've made your kit even lighter. All right, on the outside right here, I've got a CAT, Combat Action Tourniquet. That is so handy for most first aid emergencies. So then I got a chocolate protein powder from the MREs. I've already drank the protein and I have water in it. So I save these because this could be a container to gather and purify water. It could also be something I could throw down on my shirt or put it in my pocket so I have water on me. Because I am mostly running and I'm in boots today, I need some boo-boo tape. Blister care. Moleskin sucks for me, it doesn't work, so I'm either doing duct tape or medical tape. It's worked for me for 20 years. That's what I stick with. Plus, I have medical and duct tape with me, help start fires, and also treat boo-boos. Okay, on the other side, this is another one of the snacks from the MREs, the Irish Cream Cappuccino Powder. Outstanding snack to have while you're on the go. So this is from my Thermarest mat, but it's kind of just a water protection bag for. Extra pair of socks. These are, I believe, 70% synthetic, a little bit of cotton. I'm okay with a little bit of cotton. I have wool socks on, so I like to have a mixture. Then I've got a light beanie and a neck gaiter. Some people call these a buff, whatever you want to call it. This probably has 1,000 uses, if not more. Also with the skeeters and gnats out like in today, just going over my face to sleep in. But those are right there wrapped up. As I roll this up on itself, it's waterproof enough right there in the side pocket. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw this stuff back in there just so I can be packed up and ready to go. I'm sure you guys are wondering about the food. Let's finally get to that. If my objective is to have the lightest pack possible and cover the most ground as fast as possible, I'm gonna look at maybe 1,000 calories a day, if that. And the majority of those are gonna be in very fast snacks. We don't have time to sit down and cook meals and do all that. We can't cook while we're freaking running through the woods trying to get our asses home. I'm not setting a fire unless I'm about to absolutely die, but I'm definitely not setting up a nice little campfire to have a good old hot meal and cook some coffee. So we've got cookies, peanut butter, protein drinks, chocolate smoothies that come from the MREs, tortilla, everything that I can just pull out and eat and keep moving. We need snacks that we can eat on the go. I also have, this is the rest of the calories. I did a special video on this. It'll also be linked down below. This is weight gainer. This is about 1,800 calories worth just in this bag right here. So I did a special video on it explaining why I use something like that. Go check that out. I also usually have a ton of the small MRE peanut butter pouches and grape jelly and stuff like that. So then we've got our map protected. It is prepped for the path I'm going to take home, or multiple paths. Now I have used this one so much, you see the markings on there. If I'm in a real world shit hit the fan scenario, I'm probably not going to mark my maps. It's just something you don't want to have documented right there if whatever happens. If you're marking your house and important items on there and somebody catches you that you don't want to catch, or you lose it, now people know where this guy was going. And they also know he was very prepared. If they follow the yellow brick road to where they think his house is, they also know there's probably going to be tons of cool stuff there. Okay, headlamp. This should be taped so I can cover that from reflection, but this is not a luxury item. As I said, I'm going to be getting my ass home. So as far as rest goes, we're talking about 2 to 3 hour cat naps, if that. And guys, again, think about it. Do you think when it gets to nighttime, if you're desperately trying to get home, you're going to set up a nice little luxurious camp and get 8 hours of sleep? You're not planning very well, and I'm sorry, but you're not a very good rescuer if that's your plan. For me, I'm going to have to force rest, and it's probably going to be 30 minutes, 2 hours max, and then I'm getting up and I'm going. And depending on the route and the situation, I might be moving around at night a lot. So that's what this comes in handy for. The red lens is not good for people not being able to see you. The red lens is for you to protect your night vision. Why don't I have nods? Well, I don't always carry nods with me everywhere I go on every single work trip. One day, if I have the funds to buy an extra pair and always keep it with me, I will do that. I do have my phone, but the only thing I'm going to use this for is to get out a secret encrypted message to the people I'm trying to get to and say, hey, I'm on my way. I am this many miles, or I am this much time out. See you then. I might give them some last minute instructions, what to do if I'm not here by this time, where these guns are, what you should do in this case. And then I'm turning it off. I'm pulling the SIM card out. I'm shutting her down so nobody's finding me. Okay, then we got some super badass aviators. Just kidding, they were already in there, but hey, might help you blend in with the hipsters. So next we got whatever radio we're carrying. This is just a piece of junk I've been testing. Carry whatever radio you could program and easily use, and whatever you can teach your team or community, whoever you're trying to get to, whatever they can use. So this is a GMRS radio I'm playing with. If I go out with a ham radio, it is programmed for every freaking repeater in the entire area, every repeater I can find along my path home. Just something to consider. So on the outside, easily accessible. Tons of coffee, mostly quick brew to just throw in one of my water packs just to get the caffeine in. I've got multiple electrolyte powders. If we're talking about running possibly 100 miles in 3 days with a pack on, super stealthy in the woods, very stressful, gonna need those electrolytes. Apple jelly, strawberry jam. calories, guys. Fast calories. An emergency survival blanket. I'm not going to depend on this. I think a lot of people bring these with them and they count on this being a shelter or some kind of warming layer. Like, this is not a usable item and something that you can actually use as a shelter or an actual blanket. You will destroy this thing. So this is an emergency use item. If you got 1,000 feet of duct tape, yeah, you could do enough repairs on it. But I'm pulling this out at the last minute. On my lighter, I have plenty of duct tape strips, but I also have an extra roll that I've made with the easy pull tab. So fire starting, boo-boos, blisters, other things, repairs. This is what I call my mini survival kit. So we got plenty of water purification tablets. We got a small tube of triple antibiotic. That's pretty important. An extra roll of duct tape. I've got some actual fire starters, some cheaters, extra lighter, and then a bellow. Again, I'm not planning on leisurely camping and setting up camping fires and all that crap. For me, the fire is extreme, last minute, about to freaking die. Like, I have to be going into hypothermia or absolutely starving to start a fire. Would I take this out for a camping backpacking trip? Probably not. I might take this on a day hike trip, going out in the woods with my family for a little bit. It would be good stuff to have, but this is not comfort camping. It's not leisure hunting and fishing trip. This is something light, bare minimum, get my ass home as fast as possible. This pack and everything that goes in it, it's going to be based on the mission. So if it's winter time, I could fit some winter gear in here just in case I'm not able to depend on the land for warmth. If it's a much longer trip, I'm going to add more snacks in there. Oh man, these gnats. All right, let's talk real quick about some things I might want to add. If we're thinking about things collapsing or going really bad, I want some bartering items on me. I learned this in Afghanistan. If you have a pack of cigarettes on you, might get you into trouble, but you can also get out of trouble, become friends with people. It can be a distraction. It can be currency. I mean, guys, a lot of people smoke. When shit hits the fan, there's going to be a lot more smokers, and it's going to be harder to get that stuff. Maybe a couple small bottles of whiskey. You could use them to treat wounds, but you could also barter with them. Might carry a few coins of gold and silver. Just some considerations. So let's talk about what's on me. Well, this watch is always on me. I always have some kind of headgear with me at all times. Got my phone. In my kit, I have super glue. You'll see that if you go watch that video. Then I always have some kind of petroleum stuff. This is chapstick. This is great for minor boo-boos, cuts and scrapes. Put it over there, chapped stuff, chafing, very handy stuff. If I didn't have all the other fire stuff on me, or if I wanted to do even extra fire stuff, I'd sneak it right there in the cap. Could also put some tape around it. I'm good on tape as well, but just throwing out some ideas. A lot of people mock these because a lot of them are junk. These little bubble, portable, cheap old freaking compasses. So this is from that company Decathlon. A lot of these are junk, but I picked this up for $1. And this is actually great. I put it next to my lensatic compass. I take it out pretty much every time I go hiking. You forget it's there. You could strap it to your bag, so it's always there. But it's a great tool to use. Of course, I can use my watch as a compass as long as it's calibrated. I could use all the natural methods, but just having a mini compass that works makes a pretty big difference. Keys in there, but I also have a pack of gum, and I might even throw a bigger one in there. Sugar on the move, guys, and can also calm your nerves a bit. Small little old Swiss Army knife. So something like this is perfect for whatever I'm doing. I am in a dire situation, and yes, look at the ground around me. I have plenty of fire making stuff. I don't need an axe. I don't need my big old K-bar. This is doable. Because again, the goal is not to go out leisure camping and having a good old time. The goal is to move my ass. I'm also going to have my gun on my hip, guaranteed. So going with the gray man theory and blending in, if I have a big old rifle and a chest rig and everything, it's going to be kind of hard to act like just a standard civilian that was going for a hike and is now trying to move out to get to his house. So things to consider. Depending on the environment, I might have my rifle and chest rig with me as well. Then it kind of turns into a doomsday rig. With this, we're talking about possibly blending in if we have to, and being super light so we can move our asses. If you're on the ground doing this and you're really trying to get somewhere quick, you got to be light, but you're also trying to avoid all contact as possible. If I have to fire a couple rounds at something or somebody, I'm still going to be hightailing it away from them. Those shots are only going to be to defend my life, because we know, guys, guns are loud. Once I fire that gun, anybody in that area knows I'm there. This is the longest break I've taken on this test today. Other than that, I have been rucking, moving, bounding, crawling, doing danger crossings all freaking day. So that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this the way I put it together, and I hope you learned something. Like I said, there's plenty of great videos out on this subject. This is just my take on it. I see it as I'm going to be moving 90% of the time. So I need some super light stuff so it's not holding me down. Bare minimum sustenance. Rest is an afterthought. Rest is only when it is absolutely necessary. You would be amazed to know just how long you could go on just 20 to 30 minute cat naps. And if we're talking about maybe an hour or two, plus all the coffee, the adrenaline, actually moving, guys, you could perform a hell of a lot better than you think. And that's another reason to go out there and test the gear. Whatever you're planning on doing, go out there and test it. Today I did an 18-mile test run on top of all the other physical activity I did. This is where we learn where our fitness is, and it also helps us see if our gear is good. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you in that next video. Out. Time to finish that last leg and get home. We've got one more rest, then it's the home stretch. Green 2, make sure we got everything. Get back into stealth mode. Let's do it. Get outside and test your stuff, guys. Do it.